Pinocchio is directed by Robert Zemeckis and stars Tom Hanks and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and tells the story of a wooden boy named Pinocchio after he was wished to life by a fairy, and is now Geppetto's kind of son. And at the original film, he originally went to go to school and then gets brought to the circus life to be famous and goes on a bunch of misadventures to figure out who he really is and whether he could be a real boy. Now, I seen the original film. I thought it was really good, and for its time, I thought it definitely was a landmark for animation and for the studio Disney itself created. And so, bringing this animated feature to life, especially one considered by many to be one of the best of its time, it's going to be a hard feat. And there's been plenty of other adaptations, although some better than others, of this character. It's not just Disney. A lot of people have made stories about the wooden boy and have created different takes. In fact, there's going to be another one by Guillermo del Toro coming out later this year. So, the story is timeless. It is something that a lot of filmmakers seem to be attached to. And how did this one fare up with the rest? Well, this is definitely a remake of the original film. This is no way adapted from some other medias or other forms of Pinocchio. This is just a straight up remake of the original. Unfortunately, that is also his biggest detriment. Just like The Lion King, this film, it hits the same beats as before without much of the passion or sincerity or honesty that original film had. This film definitely was a film that exists. It is there to cash in on the name and nothing else, and to add into the library of Disney remakes that Disney, for some reason, loves putting out. And for some reason, well, I guess not make money anymore because of Mulan. They're now just straight to streaming services. And I think that's where these kinds of movies belong, honestly. Robert Zemeckis is a filmmaker I really love. I love his Back to the Future trilogy. I really love Forrest Gump. The Polar Express, while not the greatest of his films, is still a nostalgic trip for me, and I still somewhat enjoy it. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a cinematic masterpiece. But here, I don't know what happened. It did not even feel like a Robert Zemeckis film. There are hints of that here and there, but for the most part, it felt like he was on autopilot and that Disney had more control and more say into what the film should be. And that is, just make the original live action. The CGI looks good in some places, but for the most part, it feels very fake. Nothing about this movie screams real. I know I'm talking about a movie with a talking wooden puppet, but back in the early 2000s, they created Davy Jones. Look at this image and tell me that looks infinitely better than anything Disney has been putting out for the past few years. This digital look in their films lately is making their special effects and CGI look awfully fake and just not tangible enough. And that is one of the biggest detractors for me, is just the visual presentation of it all. It just feels really fake. And Tom Hanks, not one of his best performances, honestly. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jiminy Cricket, alright. The boy who is playing Pinocchio is doing so with passion. I will admit, he does do a good job as Pinocchio. And the character of Pinocchio itself, I would say is still intact, but that's just because it's the same thing as the original. Anything positive that I have to say about it is done in the original, but infinitely better. So there are going to be things here good, but it's not going to be special enough for me to really give it that much of a positive review because it's already been done before and infinitely better. Honestly, this is probably one of the more soulless of the live action remakes. I can't think of really anything outstanding about it or revolutionary. Or not even that, just good in general. This is nothing different from the original. It doesn't do anything to improve upon the original. It felt like it had no purpose. The direction felt flat. The CGI, for the most part, is lackluster. And overall, I just had a very bland experience with this film. For that reason, I'm going to give Pinocchio a D+. I don't recommend you guys go check this out, not even on Disney+. Just watch the original. It's so much better. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.